Hello and welcome to my channel, Exceedingly Good Reviews. This is a My Thoughts on video. My thoughts on AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. AEW Full Gear 2020. My lord, if you have not seen this show, you need to see it. You are missing out. This is one of the greatest pay-per-views that I have seen this year. This is an absolute magnificent effort here from AEW. Thank you very much for putting that show on for us, for me, for everyone else, for all the fans, for your fellow colleagues, because it was a great show. So I'll give what occurred on the show, let you know what occurred on the show, the results and whatnot, and then give you my overall thoughts on the show. As you might have guessed, though, I'm quite impressed by this show, so it's going to get a good score. So first match of the night, it opened with a match that I didn't anticipate opening the night. Kenny Omega taking on Hangman Adam Page in that World Title Tournament Eliminator match, the finals of it. And my lord, I did not expect them to start with this, but I'm thankful that they did because it was a phenomenal match. This was a great match. This was, at the point, being the first match, was my belt of the night because it was just such a great match. It was amazing. The action between the two of them, the interaction between the two. These are two former friends, best friends, former tag team partners, tag team champions together, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. And you could see it. Like, there was just so much emotion there in the match. And I mean, the build up to it with the tournament wins and everything, and we kind of guessed that it was going to come down to these two. I'm really thankful that it did, and they put on an amazing match. Kenny Omega's intro is incredible. Love the whole sweeper cleaner ladies that he's got going on. The whole, giving statistics about his history, letting us know that he's got 8 years of more experience than Hangman Page. 8 years of being a pro, longer than Hangman Page. But yeah, it was just Omega ends up winning the match. Spoiler alert: Omega ends up winning the match. Omega wins a tremendous match after hitting the one-winged angel and getting the pin. Really great way to open the show. Very physical match. But what now for Hangman Page? What now? Where does he go? He's lost this opportunity. He lost against Chris Jericho when it was crowning the first AEW World Champion. He's lost this tournament to go on to face the world champion in an opportunity to get that belt. What next for Hangman Page? Where does he go from here? Who knows? I can't wait to find out. I can't wait to see what Kenny Omega does, though. This was great. Kenny Omega, #1 contender for the AEW World Championship. What a way to start. So, we had that high moment. What a great match to open it. But surely it can only go downhill from there. No. AEW, great at booking their cards. Second match, Orange Cassidy taking on John Silver, number 4 of the Dark Order, John Silver. This was more of a comedy style match. There was obviously wrestling action and very enjoyable wrestling action, but there was a lot of comedy spots as well in it, which I think was just the right amount, the right mix of match to put in this spot. Because obviously you've been on such a high to start the show that you're going to have a little bit of a lull maybe. But the comedy elements of it made it a good match, made you stay interested in it, made you stay glued to the screen. There's a moment where John Silver rips off the pockets of Orange Cassidy, because Orange Cassidy does a whole gimmick of, oh, I'm going to put my hand in my pants, oh yeah, there we go. So John Silver ends up ripping off the pockets, so he can't do that. So that was a great moment. Lots of comedy moments. John Silver, wow, he is one strong dude. And like, he's got the physique and everything, but he does a gorilla press and he's holding Orange Cassidy up with one arm. Orange Cassidy. Very impressive, and he's speedy. But then Orange Cassidy, he's a great mover in the ring as well. He's a great in-ring technician. Some of the things that he does, it's so enjoyable, it's so fun, and yeah, it just kept you interested in the match, even though you might have been on a bit of a lull from the first match. It was so enjoyable, such a great match to have follow the previous match. Ultimately, Orange Cassidy ends up getting the victory, winning the match. Good for you. He progresses on. Like I said in my predictions, I don't think John Silver loses anything from losing the match. So, it's a win-win basically for AEW. It helps continue momentum for Orange Cassidy, but at the same time without harming John Silver. So, yeah, great to see. Third match of the night. This could have been my belt of the night. The TNT Championship match. Cody Rhodes defending the TNT Championship against Darby Allin. Now, these two have competed multiple times before. Cody Rhodes, I think, has won on every occasion, bar one when it was a draw, I think. But not here. Darby Allin ends up picking up the victory here. This was another great match. A great promo. A great video package for the beginning of the match. Darby Allin coming down in the car that's been spray painted with his skateboard and whatnot. It was just a great introduction to the show, to the match. And obviously Cody Rhodes coming down. Yes, I said Cody Rhodes, and I'm not going to correct myself because he can now finally use the Rhodes name, his surname, his actual surname, he can now use. He is Cody Rhodes, and he is introduced as such. And it was a great moment to see a real pop from the crowd, from all the wrestlers at ringside. This was a great moment for him personally, I'm sure. And yeah, I mean, it just set the tone. And like I said, these two had a great match. It ended up, Darby Allin wins the match and the TNT Championship. I mean, they're having a moment where they're rolling each other up. There's lots of different pinfall combinations. It's a 2 count, it's a 2 count, it's a 2 count. I'll roll up you, 2 count, roll back, it's 2 count. Ultimately, though, it ends up rolling through, and Darby Allin is on top and gets the 3 count. Cody looks shocked, but he shows his class. Cody Rhodes, at the end of it, shows his class. He hands the TNT Championship to Darby Allin. Here you go. You deserve it, kid. You're now the face of TNT. Go ahead. It's your moment. But they're attacked by Team Taz. Well, they're distracted by Taz, who comes out, cutting his promo and whatnot. Then they're attacked from behind by Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. They take out Cody Rhodes. They take out Darby Allin. They end up having like a little moment where they both pick up the TNT Championship. Ricky Starks on one side, Brian Cage on the other. They're both looking at it and then looking at each other as if like, ooh, bit of dissension here maybe in the ranks of Taz. Taz ends up taking the TNT title away from them both, out of the equation. Ultimately though, Will Hobbs comes down, he makes the save and whatnot, so, okay. They're going to put, by the looks of it, Darby Allin through the windshield of his car, his motor and whatnot, and then they're going to look like they're going to slam the door on his arm and break his arm, maybe. But no, Will Hobbs, like I said, makes the save. So good for Will Hobbs. And yeah, this was a great match and great little segment at the end of it as well. Can't wait to see what goes on going forward here. Ricky Starks for TNT Championship, please. Or Brian Cage. But Brian Cage is the FTW World title, so, let's not get greedy, Brian. 4th match in the night. It's the women's title match. It's Hikaru Shida defending the women's title against Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose, what are you wearing? She comes out and when you see her ring gear, it's bright blue. I'm thinking to myself, who is she meant to be? Is she meant to be Mega Man or something like that? She's a heel character, this monster. And you're coming out in bright blue. You look like one of the Teletubbies. You look like, the Blue Meanie or something. You don't look like a heel, you don't look fearsome in your bright blue outfit. So, oh, geez, Louise, what were you thinking wearing that? Anyway, it ends up, Hikaru Shida retains the title here. Vicky Guerrero tries to get involved. At one point, she's hitting Hikaru Shida behind the referee's back with a kendo stick, injuring her leg. Nyla Rose attempts to take advantage of this. Hikaru Shida really impressed me here. She got quite a lot of offense, and considering the size difference between these two ladies, the power difference you would assume between these two ladies. Nyla Rose, lots of offense in, but Hikaru Shida got more than what I anticipated. Like I said, Vicky Guerrero gets involved. The referee sees Vicky Guerrero getting involved at one point. This causes a distraction and whatnot. And Hikaru Shida ends up getting the 3 count. Nyla accidentally bumps into Vicky Guerrero, several knee shots to the face of Nyla Rose, and Hikaru Shida pins her for the 3 count. Hikaru Shida retains. Good for Hikaru Shida. I don't know where she goes next. You'd assume it would be Dr. Britt Baker, her DMD. Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero seem to have a little bit of friction. And Vicky Guerrero slaps Nyla Rose and walks off. So is that the end of their deal, their agreement? Vicky Guerrero representing Nyla Rose. Who knows? Let's see what occurs going forward. 5th match of the night. Now, this could have been a belt of the night. This could have been my belt of the night. Maybe it was. I'll let you know at the end. FTR taking on the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Now, remember, if the Young Bucks fail to win, the tag team titles, fail to win this match, they can never challenge for the World Tag Team titles again, the AEW Tag Team titles again. Those were some high stakes. And I said that I anticipated in my predictions that the Young Bucks would probably win the match, but might not win the titles. Win by disqualification account or something like that. No, I was completely wrong. They put on an absolute barnstormer of a match, telling the story of how Matt Jackson's got the injured leg. Dash Howard ends up injuring his hand against the ring ropes. You see it bleeding and everything. He gets medical attention, he gets strapped up and everything. It's the story of his injury against Matt Jackson's injury. FTR isolating Matt Jackson, stopping him from getting his brother Nick Jackson in. When Nick Jackson does finally get in, the offense, the speed, the ingenious maneuvers that he does, the movements. I mean, there's no wasted movement between any of these individuals. It was such a great match. Tully Blanchard, by the way, is banned from ringside. He was not allowed. He escorted FTR down to the ring, but he left. So he wasn't at ringside. This was just between these two tag teams, and they put on an absolute barnstormer. It was a great match, and ultimately it ends up the Young Bucks win. Matt Jackson, with his injured foot, ends up giving a super kick and getting the victory. Yes! Finally, the Young Bucks are your tag team champions. The Young Bucks, probably arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest tag teams in wrestling right now, are your AEW World Tag Team Champions. Well deserved, lads. Love it. Kenny Omega coming out to celebrate with them at the end of their match. It's great to see. Hangman Page hanging back. You see him in the entrance tunnels that they've got at the top of the entrance ramp. You know, he's watching on. He's like, I want to celebrate with my friends, but I won't because I'm lonely, kind of thing. You know, it was quite sad actually seeing Hangman hang back there, but you know, it's a great moment for the Young Bucks. Takes nothing away. Great moment for them. Can't wait to see where they go next with that. Sixth match in the night. It's that cinematic match. It's the Elite Deletion match between Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. Great opening to this match. You see Sammy Guevara arriving at the Hardy complex compound, whatever it's called, in a golf buggy. Is it the same one from the previous cinematic match? You see him arrive and he runs over a truck with his car. But we then get some headlights come on and it's a monster truck. Matt Hardy's in the monster truck and he runs over Sammy Guevara's golf buggy car thing. That's quite nice symmetry there, you know. He runs over this tiny car, so Hardy's in a bigger car to run over your tiny car, kind of thing. It was quite a fun moment. Anyway, this match, you know, it was what it was. It was a cinematic match. It was very enjoyable in parts. We got run-ins from Proud and Powerful, Sammy Ortiz and Santana. You know, they run in and attack. Matt Hardy ends up calling in the cavalry, Private Party coming to nullify them. We get an appearance by Gangrel. Gangrel has the Hurricane Helms, Shane Helms, Hurricane Helms, he's got him hostage. He ends up, you know, the firework battles where Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy are fireworks, shooting them at each other. Everyone's ducking for cover and whatnot. That's a very dangerous moment, but very enjoyable to watch. Matt Hardy ends up locking them in the little complex garage warehouse thing that he's got with the ringing. They compete some more. There's the moment where Sammy Guevara gets put through the table, but cracking his head on the concrete. Obviously, this was all staged, but they put blood in there and everything that he's bleeding. Play back to that moment from one of their previous matches where Matt Hardy cracked his head, potentially concussed and whatnot. Ultimately, Matt Hardy ends up winning this match. I thought Sammy Guevara might win. You know, he had more to gain from winning the victory, getting the victory here. But Matt Hardy ultimately won. Good for you, Matt Hardy. It was what it was. It was a very enjoyable match. Not as good as some of the previous cinematic matches that we've had, but still a very good showing. Very enjoyable, very entertaining. Great to see. Our seventh match of the night. Chris Jericho taking on MJF. Now remember, MJF wins, he gets to join the Inner Circle. If not, then, you know, I'm guessing he won't be joining. This was a great match. MJF comes out in a Chris Jericho inspired ring attire. So you see the lights flashing on a jacket and you assume, oh, this would be Chris Jericho with a throwback to one of his previous gimmicks that he's had. No, it was MJF in like a Ric Flair style robe, but with the Jericho lighting on. Very nice touch by MJF. great paying homage to Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho comes out with everyone singing, his song. I become man. I become man. Jonathan, my mind. Great moment. Great to see. We had quite a few fans here, it seemed, and it was great for the atmosphere that they created. Even though it wasn't a full house, I think someone speculated that it was around 1,000 fans. They still created a nice atmosphere, and hearing them sing his theme music was great. Wardlow distracts the referee at one point. Hager passes the bat to Jericho after Wardlow had passed the ring to MJF. MJF's going to use the ring. Jericho teases using the bat. MJF's like, oh crap, what? He just drops. He drops to the ring apron. The ref turns, sees Jericho with the baseball bat. MJF on the floor. It's like, oh my god, what's going on here? Is he going to disqualify Chris Jericho here? No, that distraction then allows MJF to roll up Chris Jericho and win the match. MJF and Wardlow are in the inner circle. MJF with the victory here. He said he'd win by whatever means possible, whatever lengths he had to go to, he would go to them to get in the inner circle. He is now in the inner circle with Wardlow. What's going to go on now? Is the inner circle going to rot from the inside with MJF as a member? Let's see. Let's find out. This was also a very entertaining match on a night of very entertaining matches. 8th match of the night and final match of the night. Jon Moxley defending the AEW World title against Eddie Kingston. This was a great match also. Very physical, very violent match. Not as brutal as the Dragunov Walter match from NXT UK from a few weeks back that I reviewed, but still very brutal, very violent. This was brutal in a different way. They didn't use weapons, these guys did. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley did. Thumbtacks we had. We had chairs, obviously chairs. Barbed wire baseball bats. Taking the barbed wire, wrapping the barbed wire around your hands, around your arms. This was brutal. Lots of blood. Both individuals busted open. Great moment at one point where Eddie Kingston slams Jon Moxley into the thumbtacks. He goes down to the medical corner and gets some of the rubbing alcohol and pours that all over the wounds of Jon Moxley's back with his thumbtacks, and that has got to sting. That's got to be a stinger. Very brutal moment. The barbed wire, like I said, using barbed wire on your fist to punch your opponent. Ultimately, Jon Moxley ends up wrapping it around his arm and locking in the bulldog choke, and Eddie Kingston reluctantly, eventually, ends up saying, I quit. He says, I quit. He wins therefore Jon Moxley wins the match and retains his AEW World title. I didn't see Eddie Kingston or Jon Moxley saying I quit, but Eddie Kingston did say it. And so Jon Moxley retains. He tries to help Eddie Kingston up after the match, but Eddie Kingston's having none of it and he walks off. And we get Kenny Omega coming out after the match and having a stare down with Jon Moxley before he leaves, leaving Jon Moxley in the ring to celebrate his AEW World title win. That was the show. Great show. Like I said, this was an incredible, phenomenal, brilliant, magnificent show. This really was very enjoyable from beginning to end. So many great matches. So many. I mean, I wish I could say all the matches were belters of the night, but I have to pick one match. One match for my belter of the night. And I've got to go with the Young Bucks against FTR. It did not have the greatest of builds, but the fact that these two teams were going against each other, it didn't need a build for me because this has been anticipated for years, these two teams going at it, going against one another. So to me, it didn't really need the build. It would have been nice to have the build, but it didn't really need the build. But like I said, the match itself did nothing to disappoint. It was incredible. Your eyes were fixed to the screen from beginning to end in this match. You did not want to blink because you did not want to miss a thing. This was my belter of the night. And it also helped that the titles changed hands. And I do like a title change. 2 title changes in hands on this show. The TNT title and the AEW tag team titles. Nice to see AEW changing some titles around. Great moments. Great matches. Can't wait to see what goes on AEW Dynamite going forward. So it's got me hyped for the next episode to see where things go from here, how things progress. Kenny Omega is your number 1 contender now. At what point is he going to get his title shot? Is it going to be at Revolution? That's their pay-per-view next year. Possibly, but I'd like to see him get it before then. But yeah, like I said, this was just a great show. Very, very entertaining. Fun to watch from beginning to end. My belt on the night is the AEW Tag Team title match. Yes! Well done. Home run here from AEW. This was an absolute storm of a match. Storm of a show, sorry. Great to see. So yeah, those are my thoughts on AEW Full Gear. I've gone on for quite a while in this video. I do apologise. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to try and trim these videos down a lot more. I do babble on. I do apologise for that. But, you know, I just get so invested in some of these matches, in some of these shows. But yeah, also I want to apologise that this has gone up late. You know, family things have taken precedence in my life. But yeah, I wanted to get this video out to you. So my apologies for it being late. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of Full Gear. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and a big old thank you. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay classy.